Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Li Xing Gan, Financial Market Strategist Consultant to Exness, and this is your market outlook for the 21st of November 2024. So for today, we will be covering on three instruments from a technical analysis perspective, right? We will be taking a look at gold, Bitcoin, as well as US oil. And I'm currently on the Exness web terminal, right? So this is gold on the daily time frame. So if we take a look at gold, you can see that prices held within an ascending channel. In fact, we saw a rebound above the lower bound of the ascending channel, which is also in line with this swing low, right, at about the 2,550 zone. So we can see that if price continues to extend gains, we could see a rise towards the 2,700 resistance. And this zone also aligns with that previous area of consolidation before we saw a strong break to the downside. Right, so if you take a look at the bearish candlesticks, we can see that there is a bearish move to the downside before a retest of it again as a resistance. Right, and of course, if gold continues its rebound, right, and continues to rise further, we could see a retest and a challenge of the all-time high near the 2,800 zone. Right, so that's the first scenario. Right, conversely, if we do see a bearish breakout of the ascending channel and a close below the 2,550 zone, we could see potential for a steeper decline towards the next area of consolidation. You can see that this was also a zone that price tested multiple times as a resistance over here before we saw a strong break and close, testing it again as a support before price continued its rally and then paired recent gains. Right, so if we see a bearish breakout of the ascending channel, it could suggest potential for a steeper decline with 2,480 region, this area over here, which also aligns with the area of consolidation we discussed earlier. This could be the next potential support. Right, so if we take a look at where we are on gold, you can see that prices are currently hovering above this ascending channel, is still hovering within the ascending channel. However, we would potentially like to see movement to the upside through the formation of bullish market structure, higher lows and higher highs. Right, so that's on gold. The next one that I would like to cover would be on Bitcoin. So if we take a look at Bitcoin, you can see that Bitcoin has been on a very strong upward momentum, right, especially with the most recent consolidation and a break above that range, namely the 93,000 resistance. Right, so on the daily time frame first, you can see that price actually broke above the ascending channel. We saw a retest of the channel's upper bound following that breakout, right, before price extended its rally. If we take a look at it on the 4 hours time frame, you can see that on the 4 hours, right, we have an area of consolidation before a strong break to the upside, and price also held above this ascending trend line. You can see that on the 4 hours time frame. And what's also interesting to note with the EMAs is that we can see that the EMAs are still bullish, and in fact we have that widening gap between the EMAs, signaling or highlighting that bullish momentum that we saw in price. Right, we also have prices bouncing above the EMA 21 support, right? So this is a dynamic support that held multiple times, right? So you can see that price rebounded, failed to close below it before we saw that strong move to the upside following the breakout of the 93,000 resistance. So it's interesting to note that if price sustains its bullish momentum above the 93,000 resistance, we could see potential for further gains towards the 100,000 psychological resistance level, right? And beyond that, if the 100,000 is broken, a further rise towards the 100,000 and 105,000 level could occur. Right, so one thing to note is that the 100,000 resistance would line up with the 161.8 extension. This is a zigzag pattern that was taken from this move, right? So using the turning points to project the 161.8 extension. So if price does push towards the 100,000 level, this psychological level would align with the 161.8 extension, whereas the 105,000 level would align with the 272 or rather 227.2 extension, Fibonacci extension. Right, so this is the technical levels on Bitcoin. And last but not least, right, on US oil, let's take a look at what we have. So if you take a look at US oil on the 4 hours time frame, we can see that prices are still holding within the descending channel. This area over here, right, it has been tested multiple times, and for a channel to be valid, we need a tap or a test of this region as a resistance, right? So the test of the upper bound twice as well as the lower bound, which we can see here, right? Just to adjust it so that it's more accurate. So you can see over here, right, so currently prices are holding below this descending channel's upper bound, as well as the 70 resistance. We're also seeing very muted movement here, right, with the converging EMAs. So prices are just consolidating around this zone. So if we do see a decline, right, if price extends or rather pair recent losses with a further drop to the downside, right, we could see a retest of the 67 support. You can see that this level has been tested as a swing low multiple times, right, all the way back in September, right, before we saw a retest of this region again and price moved slightly higher, right? So if price extends its decline, we could see a further move to the 67 level, and beyond that, if the 67 support is broken, price could push towards the 65 swing low, right? This swing low was formed back in September, right? So we can see that if price breaks below 67, 65 could serve as the next potential support, still shy of the descending channel's lower bound, right? So that it's slightly further to the downside, right? So this would be the next support level for me if price breaks below the 67, right? On the flip side, if we do see a bullish breakout of the 70 resistance, as well as a close above the descending channel's upper bound, we could see potential for a retest, right? A rise towards this resistance level, which has again been tested as both a support and resistance over here. So if we do see a break above the descending channel, we could see potential for further gains towards the 72 resistance, right, before price tests this region. Right? And if beyond that, if price breaks above the 72 level, right, this could indicate a shift in momentum and potential for further gains. The next resistance that price could potentially target, the swing high over here, before we saw a move to the downside. And this level stands at about the 76 or 75.50 region. Right, so it's more of a range instead of just that specific level. You can see that this was a region that formed that high before price moved to the downside, and we're seeing that consolidation where prices are ranging sideways, this area over here, and also holding within the descending channel. So that's the outlook for me on US oil, right? And that's it for today's market analysis. Thank you for joining me. I'm Li Xing Gan, and we will catch you guys again in the following session.